Hi everyone. I know it's been a little bit of a while since I've posted anything. It's been a crazy couple of months. Today I'm going to talk about another one of Penguin Classics Marvel collection. This time it is Captain America. So as I explained in my Spider-Man video, I'm much more of a DC Comics reader than a Marvel Comics reader. So I've actually never read a Captain America comic before this book. Everything I know about Captain America comes from either the old 60s cartoon, the 90s Spider Man cartoon, the terrible 90s Captain America movie with, um, and the modern day MCU. Um, but it turns out that actually those do cover quite a lot of what's in here as well. So I did feel like I wasn't coming in completely blind. But there's a lot of interesting things that I didn't know about in this book. Of course, the end papers, again, we've got the Red Skull here and Batroc the Leaper. And we've got MODOK and Nick Fury. Don't know why Nick Fury's included with a bunch of villains. Like the other Penguin classics, we have some nice scholarly essays. We've got the same series introduction that's in Spider-Man, but then we've got a forward and volume introduction, all with very, very interesting information. Penguin Classics usually includes in their volumes. This volume and this has a little bit more of a there's a lot more gaps in this in the run of Captain America comics than there was in the Spider-Man volume. In Spider-Man, they leave out like a few issues and they jump ahead, and leave out a few issues to jump ahead. With Captain America, we start with Captain America comics #1 in the 1940s, the only Golden Age issue in here or any of the volumes so far. And then we jump ahead to the 1960s to modern Captain America, to after he was thawed out by the Avengers and had started his modern adventures. And then we jump ahead again with quite a few gaps. So we jump to Captain America number 110 by Jim Steranko. So this sort of really covers the big important parts of Captain America's comics career, and gives you a good taste of the evolution of Captain America, starting from the very, very beginning. So, because we start with Captain America Comics #1, which has that very famous cover of Captain America punching Hitler in the face. Very interestingly, this comic was published about 12 months before the attack on Pearl Harbor, so America had not yet entered the war. So this would have actually been considered risky. There was actually some support for the Nazis in America before Pearl Harbor, and doing something so obviously that was propaganda and anti-Nazi, that was a very interesting time to choose that. Just a thing, there's a contents page here for the actual issue, and it shows 4 stories on here. And this one, case number 3, Captain America and the Chessboard of Death, is not in here. I don't know if that was omitted on purpose or a mistake, or if it wasn't even in the original issue. I have no idea, but it is not in this volume. I thought maybe somehow I'd missed it, but I hadn't. As I say, reading a Golden Age comic, while interesting, it's a little bit painful sometimes. The disciplines of writing a comic, they didn't feel to quite have it right yet, at least not here. I mean, these are made by 2 of the absolute greats. It's Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So the artwork is great. The storylines are they're obviously pitched at children, but they're really good and interesting, especially for the time they were written. The dialogue is painful to read, but one of the things I noticed, I can't find the example now just on the camera, but sometimes the word bubbles, it would be difficult to figure out what order to read them in. I've never had that problem with a comic post 60s. This is one of the first times I've had that problem, except for like amateur comics and that way people. So normally when you read the word bubbles in a comic, you read it like a book. You read left to right, from top to bottom, left to right. And there was one case where the answer to a question was given first, and the question was then on the right below it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe they hadn't quite figured out how people were reading comics yet that early. I don't know, or maybe it was just this particular issue was badly done. But I did find that kind of interesting. We do jump ahead to 1960s to Tales of Suspense. To 1960s Captain America. Yes, it has Iron Man on the cover there. That's because Tales of Suspense was shared with Iron Man. So you had the Captain America story and you had the Iron Man story. This book does not include any of the Iron Man stories. There's only Captain America in here. Unfortunately, they also don't have the issue Avengers #4 where Captain America is thawed out in the ice. There are a few pages from it at the end of the book. Oop, I've gone past it, sorry. So yeah, so we got a few pages from Avengers #4 here. So a little excerpt where we have Namor finds this tribe. They're worshipping a man in ice. He gets angry with them. He throws the man into the ocean. It begins to thaw, and then the Avengers find him and realize that he is Captain America. I would have really liked the whole story in here. I reckon they should have put that issue before Tales of Suspense number 59, because that is the start of Captain America's modern age. That is his proper comeback. They did try a revival before, which was Captain America Comedy Smasher, but that was not successful. There's a little writing about it at the end of the book here. You don't actually see any pages or examples from it there. So then you've got the modern 60s Captain America comics. We start with a modern story where he's defending Avengers Mansion from a bunch of people who are breaking in, and that is set in the 60s. But then from here, from number 63, they decide to sell World War II story, Golden Age stories, but in the 60s style. So it's Stan Lee and Jack Kirby telling Golden Age World War II stories in their own style. So we get a retelling of Captain America's origin, which was already read in Captain America Comics #1. There are some things that are the same. There are some things that are retconned to be slightly different. There's definitely a modernization going on. The Red Skull is introduced in Captain America Comics #1. We get a reintroduction of his origin in a later issue here, which tells a sort of retelling of that story, but with differences. And the Red Skull himself is actually given a different origin and a different reason for what he's doing, and the plot is slightly different as well. So we have some retconning going on. We do then get later, we get stories set in the modern day 60s as well. So they didn't just stick to World War II. I really like the World War II ones. It does feel like we're getting a lot of what Captain America was and where he's from that way. And then we jump to his modern day, and then then it's that man out of time story, the guilt of Bucky dying. That's very interesting. I also love these. I love that they include the letters pages in here. It's like a time capsule. You're reading people's thoughts and things about the comics from then. And funnily enough, there's a lot of arguments going on in those letters that might have happened today, which I thought was really interesting. So I love that they include these as well. And I don't know, I noticed this in the Spider-Man volume as well as this one. Whenever you read an issue written by Stan Lee, whenever I read the yellow boxes, I can't help. I always hear his voice. I can hear Stan Lee's voice whenever I read these yellow boxes, whenever it's written by him. When it's written by someone else, not so much. But he has that tone of voice, and he writes the way he used to speak. So I noticed they made Hitler very much into a cartoon comic villain. He is not a real person at all. He is a moustache twirling. Maha, I shall make the perfect evil soldier, and he shall be the Red Skull. And that sort of thing. Nothing that any person in real life would ever do. The real Hitler was an absolute lunatic and madman and completely and utterly evil. But if you were in a room with him, he would not have been twirling his moustache and talking about creating images of the ultimate evil. Thing about real evil is it doesn't recognize itself. Real evil doesn't believe it's evil. So if you ever got into a room with a dictator like Adolf Hitler and you asked him the question, he would absolutely deny being evil. And this doesn't happen in comic books. In comic books, evil knows it's evil. They laugh maniacally. They make evil plans. They call them evil plans when they make them. And that is the difference between the four-color world and our world. And I think it was particularly noticeable when you're writing about a real-life villain like Hitler and he's saying dialogue that you expect a cartoon character to say. Very oddly, I find that makes him less evil in the comic than it did in real life. Here we have Batroc the Leaper, who has a French accent like Inspector Clouseau in The Pig Panther. We get the return of the Red Skull in the modern day. Got the introduction of the Cosmic Cube. Yeah, we have MODOK. And then we've got the Steranko's issues. Now this is he came in with Captain America number 110. This is when after they changed it from Tales of Suspense and Captain America got his own title, didn't have to share it with Iron Man anymore. And Steranko brought a lot of film techniques to the comics where he'd treat it like it was a movie. So you got like the camera zooming in, a lot of dynamic action shots, bodies that are constantly in motion. It's really interesting, and not just the usual 9 panels on the page. We have him fighting the Incredible Hulk. And his use of lighting and color, it's definitely interesting and a joy to look at. I mean, we do sometimes get things like this where he kind of looks like he's either very, very uncomfortable or slightly deformed, but it's definitely that sense of motion and dynamic fighting, and it's like constant action on the page. And then, of course, you've got Hydra. Like that almost looks like his leg is either really stretched out or growing out of his chest, but it's obvious that they're running forward. I think a bit ahead of its time, actually. Prior to these issues, Captain America had gone public with his secret identity. I didn't even know Captain America had a secret identity until reading these. By the end of Steranko's issue, he resets the status quo and he has his secret identity back. Sorry, spoilers. And of course, more of those letters pages. Then you've got an afterword by Jim Steranko, which was originally published in another collection, I believe. When was it? Captain America Omnibus Volume 1. It was originally published in 2011. And then, of course, you got more resources, some footnotes for the introductions. And of course, suggested further reading as well if you want to continue with the adventures of Captain America. So, all in all, the same again, a lovely package by Penguin Classics, and nice and affordable too. I've recently received my Black Panther volume as well, which I'll also be talking about on this channel if there is a call for it, if people want to continue seeing these. So you can let me know, or I will just keep an eye on the numbers, see who's looking, who's liking, and if so, I will talk about Black Panther soon. Till then, take care.